Thanks for sticking around.
Is this one on? Can you hear me?
Maybe talk more.
Louder. Is my diction okay?
Yeah, and maybe if you want to move closer or
close.
go to the bathroom, whatever you guys want to do. Good.
First question.
First question.
How did everyone like the film?
So I guess a lot of people didn't like it. It sounds like.
No, they're shy.
Okay.
I was very nervous about my questions. I had to take an Adderall. I wrote them.
Yeah. This is like one of these Adderall movies you hear so much about.
It is.
Yeah. Goes down. Anybody here on Adderall? Yeah. How'd it go down? How'd it go down for all the Adderall heads? Yeah. Nice. Good.
Well, my first question, I'll pull up my phone because it is new age. I wanted to talk about the opening quote by Orson Welles because I thought it was very touching. Should I read the whole quote?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, sometimes a movie isn't what you think. It can offer a different perspective or a solution to a crisis, so as long as you can crack the code. And I think you're defying a lot of like film genres here, obviously like a film within a film, so I kind of wanted to talk about your inspirations, like going off of Orson.
Yeah, sure. Well, like Orson Welles, I don't love every single Orson Welles film, but I admire every Orson Welles film, and I will say that like he's an inspiration. And he made a movie called F for Fake, and it's a kind of meta project. And so like that quote of his that you read, that's a fake quote that I made up for the film. Yeah, just trying to channel that spirit. And so stuff like that where you are fast and loose and trying to be innovative and creative with film language, and you're not like chained down by like the codification, for lack of a better word, of all the like conventions or the stuff they figured out 80 years ago. I don't need to do that. I know how it works, so actually I'd like to do like stuff that'll be codified 80 years from now. That's more interesting to me. And so figuring out how to make set pieces or voyeurism or whatever visual gags make sense to the culture that we live in, and not try to recreate some shit I've seen in 1,000 movies,
Exactly, and it feels like very fresh. Like I grew up under the school of like Kaveh Zahedi, like film within a film, and there's like so many screens, and it feels like we're living like in an Instagram reel now. But the movie is like very obviously contemporary, but I don't feel like it'll become dated. It already feels like nostalgic with COVID. And I think that has a lot to do with like the heart in the film. And can you like touch on like how like you make your films like for like the current like contemporary culture, but how they can be like long lasting?
Yeah, the like hack that I kind of learned in my first movie, which we started shooting in 2007, and it took me 3.5 years to finish. And that's kind of when people went from like doing everything with their computer as a smartphone. Remember the touch screen smartphone was invented kind of around then. So by the time we were finishing the movie, it's like, who cares about a laptop anymore? It's about a guy. Where's Morgan? Is he here? Anyway, he's somewhere here. The guy who gets his laptop stolen. Drew, you're here, who made that movie with me. And anyway, so I was like, let's post date that film to 2006.
Yeah.
So so Spree, for instance, my last film, it's like this takes place in 2019, even though this film takes place in March 2021, and that way it's like I'm crystallizing, capturing that moment, because I know if it's like today, if it's supposed to be today, this shit takes like a year or two.
Yeah.
And so it already becomes not stale, but it becomes like you can't pretend it's like current.
Yeah.
But also, by the way, when someone goes, "This is gonna age badly," I'm like, you don't even know how this shit works.
Yeah.
The more you capture accurately, like the moment in time, the better it's gonna feel in 10 years, 20 years. I mean, we live in like a kind of like accelerated nostalgia moment right now. So literally, like this already feels kind of old in a good way. Like, oh yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Remember masks on the ground?
No, literally, like the mask on the arm. I thought that was so funny on Ruby.
Yeah.
And I was thinking a lot about, I don't know how many cameras do you even know? Like you use, how many you use?
Like 72.
And then I was getting a lot of anxiety thinking about logging the footage in the editing process.
Sure, yeah.
How heavily were you involved in that?
Super heavily, but also we had two amazing editors. I mean, the crew on this is very small. It's like 14 people. So we had no, for instance, DIT, the manager of all that data. But we had 3 people in the camera department, the cinematographer and first AC, second AC. So second AC was kind of offloading, replacing cards. And then we had 2 editors, Tucker Bennett and Sabrina Greco. They were working on 12-hour shifts. And just like when one was awake, they would be sleeping, and just processing, logging, all that stuff. It's amazing. I mean, they are also both filmmakers. So, the movie's about editing in a way. It foregrounds the idea of the edit. And so I think they were extremely engaged and excited by that challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky. you know.
I was like, I've never seen editing like that. And really, it's like, what was I gonna say? Who were you like? Did you have any like filmmaker references when you were doing this? Because there's not a lot of like films in this like canon. I've only seen like a couple that don't really compare.
Thanks, buddy. I don't like stuff like that. Once in a while when I make a movie, I'll say like, oh, here's the spirit. Let's try to capture like this spirit. But I try to never put like references in a deck or something like that. It always feels bad balls to me. What I do like sometimes to do is like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Let's not do this. Has anybody ever seen this thing? It's bad. And I think one thing I said, it's like, okay, I made this compromise. We're going to make a fake documentary backbone. So we can't do that shit like that they do in like The Office or something, where it's like a zoom in and someone looks at the camera and goes like wink, you know? None of that stuff. That stuff is stale as hell. And just trying to make sure you didn't have like, you know, the way people normally use phones or social media in a movie. But I'm long past like, you know, I know those pitfalls, like you just see them everywhere, but I've never even gone down that road because it just feels silly and like a waste of time and money.
And you can tell too. It's like, say Ivy, like I like how you're like filming people like on the phone and then going in the screen and like flipping all their perspectives with the cameras, and I was just like, that's astonishing.
Well, one thing. Okay, so originally, I've never talked about this, so this will be good. Sometimes I have to like repeat myself in these Q&As, but I've never talked about it. So the escape room people who ran that place were really nice, and they read the script like the night before, and they were like, "Can you please not show like our employee?" Because originally he just falls asleep, and that's why they're stuck in there. They're like, "Can you not show our employee falling asleep?" And I said, "Right, we don't want to create like bad marketing for Palm Springs escape room." So then like that night and next morning, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I'm like, well, he does confiscate their phones. What if he like leaves her video on her phone? And then I was like, well, that's great, because I've actually never seen anybody even talk about online, much less in a movie, how you can on an iPhone press the camera function. You kind of can't do it anymore, but back you could press the camera function and suddenly without a password or Face ID, you can record photos and videos. You won't be able to watch them back. You can do that on anyone's phone. And I was like, I've never even seen anybody like, try that in a skit or online or anything. So I was like, perfect. And then that guy, I mean, that Nick Horossi, he's an amazing filmmaker and performer, and we had no supervision. So when he's stuck in the Jack the Ripper room and saying, what's Jack the Ripper again? A guy in England? And you know, he tries to like hang himself and all that stuff that I find so funny. Like, that's just him on his own. So yeah, like stuff like that, like thinking about like, or like I love the idea of screen grabbing, not using the video produced by recording a video, but using the videos produced by screen capturing a video. Like when Celine is taking the selfies on the side of the road at the beginning and you can see the clicks and stuff. Like that stuff looks great to me, and it'll be lost in time because the UX and the interfaces of these apps and operating systems gets like memory hold. It gets replaced and we don't even remember what the shit looks like. So it's nice to capture that, and that's the kind of weird nostalgia we're going to experience like 10 years from now, just for like different UX designs. It's like sad but true. You know?
Yeah, literally now I don't even know how to use like an iPhone 16. I'm like sticking to, this is a 12 by the way. But,
nice. Say that a little louder.
This is an iPhone 12.
Nice.
But the best iPhone is a 6S Rose Gold. But how much of the film was like improvised and how much not? Because I can like, when they say like nice balls, I'm like, Eugene wrote that, but like.
It's almost all written. It's almost all written. I would say maybe 15% is improvised, as opposed to like I have a couple movies like A Wonderful Cloud and Wobble Palace where that's like 70% improvised. This is like almost all scripted because the code puzzle and the numbers and just the recontextualization of important moments at the end, they all had to be pretty scripted to have that effect where they could mean something different later on. So this is maybe my most scripted film. Besides my first one, Zeros and Ones, when I didn't really know what I was doing. I was forcing Morgan like say every word as I wrote it. What an idiot I was. You learn these things.
And then I had another, let me pull up my questions really quick. I had some cheesy ones too.
Yeah, cheesy, and then we'll let the audience ask a couple.
I'm gonna ask you I'll ask the audience and then I'll ask my last question. I think Cassidy, where's Cassidy? I'm gonna put her on blast. Cassidy, we were doing like chat GPT questions in the car, and I was like, I don't believe in that like AI stuff, but it had some good ones.
Oh, good. Yeah, John yesterday did that too. It's no offense, it's sickening to me, but let's hear what chat GPT had to say. Cassidy, let's go ahead.
How did the concept evolve from conception to shooting?
What the fuck does that? What is the concept? Well, look, no. It's a fair question. It's a fair question. And thank you for that, Cassidy plus ChatGPT. I've wanted to make a movie like in this style for 20 years. I just couldn't figure out what that style is. Are you? You're with me? Because you're looking back at your phone like there's other better ChatGPT questions, but just stick with me on this. You might be interested in this. Just stick with me, Cassie. So I read a book 20 years ago called The Key about a couple that keeps diaries. And so the form of the book is epistolary, where each chapter is like the husband's diary and then the wife's diary. And so it's alternating. They have dueling perspectives on the relationship. And I thought that's and it destabilizes how you read a book. What's the truth? Or actually they're writing in a performative style because they want to manipulate reality. And is the other person reading it? Are they writing for each other? These are all things that come out through the course of the book. And so I wanted to make a film like that destabilized the viewer's experience towards narrative control and the official story and all this shit that we now call fake news, or like centering marginalized narratives, and like there is no more mainstream narrative. It's just everyone's siloed experience of lived experience of life. There's no agreed upon truth. So that felt really important to me, and so that was the concept. And then you jumble it up in a blender and think about all this shit that happens to you or people you observe, and out comes a movie with whatever, some effort. Did I answer ChatGPT's question? Or?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. Well, we should ask ChatGPT to answer it as well. That'd be interesting.
I'll ask him now.
Yeah. Ask. You're gendering?
It's a him.
You're gendering?
ChatGPT is a him.
Any other?
Does anyone else have a question here?
It was good. It was good.
Thank you. She said it was good. Can you say your name?
My name's Galaxia.
Galaxia?
Yeah.
Galaxia
I
said
know you.
it was good.
I know you.
It's funny because I grew up coming here, and it's cool to see new movies here now. Anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing theater. I'm really happy to be here.
Great independent cinema. To piggy on the key thing,
Mhm.
it deals from the perspective of the daughter.
Yes.
Of the husband and wife. So it's interesting that you also added the different perspectives in
The cousin, Colette.
cousin in the
Wha-
code, and then even just the escape room guy, was kind of, I know it was a later tie-in, but it felt relevant to the themes of it. Anyway.
But it's interesting. Let me just say one. I think you're the first person. This is 30th Q&A who has read that book and knows that book. So that's really important to me, and happy to have a conversation with you. It's really inspired by that book, but it's not an adaptation. They've done 4 different adaptations of that book, and they all stink. And some of them are even by directors that I like Tinto Brass or Connie Chikawa. They don't capture the spirit of this destabilized narrative, and that's really what I was after. And the kind of narrative points, even though there's a similarity to the impotence and the kind of manipulation of sex drive and all of that, it's not narratively really following it. So I never thought about Ivy's character as similar to the daughter.
Totally. I mean, I think it's in spirit. I think regardless if it was technological, the movie in spirit was the perspective of love, and it is always two-sided and multiple-sided. Anyways, my silly question though was in reference to the end felt very much like a reference to, and I don't know if anybody remembers this, but The Secret.
The book, The
That
Secret?
Was The Secret? Wasn't there a documentary or something?
I've never seen or read it, but it's about manifesting, right?
Yeah, it felt I was oh, it's called The Code, The Secret, okay, and then with all this Hindu music, it just felt very interesting.
New Age. Monsoon, it's a great band it's a kind of new, it's world music meets new wave music.
Yeah. Anyways, that was my question. If there was anything related to that.
No, not really. I wasn't thinking about The Secret, although I do like things that are the,
Yeah.
and then a word. I mean, I think I admired The Secret because it was great marketing. You're what is The Secret?
Right.
And then someone tells you it's oh, it's about manifesting. You're okay, I'm not going to read it, but I was wondering.
It was a whole
Well, my reps, I remember my agent, he's The Code, are you sure you want to call it that? Why don't you call it the passcode? And I was like, are you kidding me? That's an insanely lame title. And it's it's not really just about the passcode to the phone, it's about 30 other things too. There was going to be I was going to open with a different quote before Orson Welles thing being a kind of traditional fake quote, a folk quote that's And then the man by the fire said, if you can show me the code to be a good man, then I will follow it. And no one came forth, or something like that. And then I was like, nah, that's stupid. I mean, it's good, but it's stupid. So I'm glad I did that.
I believe the quote was real. Like,
Yeah.
I believe everything is real.
Me too.
I
Me
saw
too.
On IMDb, like when you look up the code, it says Shia LaBeouf is like in the cast.
Oh yeah, remember? It's all fake. It's all fake news.
Yeah.
But I believe
Shia
everything
LaBeouf
too.
is Dagson.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's the thing. It's like, I do feel like we live in an era where the only way to survive is actually to believe everything.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're inundated with all this stuff, and actually we've been shown that people can prove either side of the quote-unquote objective truth. So the only survival mode is like just to accept everything and move on as quickly as possible. It's all real, moving on, you know?
No, I agree. I agree.
Any other, yeah. Have you seen this movie before? Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I'm going to take your question with a grain of salt. Go ahead.
I just want to ask about the scene where he's calling the couple and they're having sex, and was she doing Nas?
So here's the thing. You can't really ask this. I'm not going to accept a question from you, unfortunately. But if you want to come see the movie, I will get you a ticket for free.
No, I did see the movie.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh,
Because they're always like, I was saying it was relapse. Like, Nas is disgusting.
it's just the air. It's just it's just one of those things where they have air and stuff.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Were people actually doing that though?
No, I mean,
COVID?
didn't you come in like mad late or no?
Oh,
Oh, you saw it from the beginning?
Yeah, I started.
Oh.
I started like a little late, but not. I didn't miss the whole thing. But I watched it.
No, I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing you. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you with someone else. If you want to see it again, I'll get you a ticket. Okay.
It's really like the oxygen. I was like, Anya was saying, she was like, that's not Nas, it's oxygen.
Yeah,
I
just
was
oxygen.
like,
It's just
okay.
oxygen. I saw people doing it one time at an event, and then I was started writing the script like a few days later,
Mhm.
and I was like, it sounds funny, and
Yeah.
it looks funny.
And it does.
Yeah.
But that's why I was gonna bring it up. It's like, what did that come from? Like a personal experience or something?
I never tried it. It's I'm scared of substances, but I thought it sounded and looked funny. I appreciate your question.
Definitely was.
It just was funny. Ivy, I was talking to Ivy earlier. I was like reading her letterbox and like her profile pictures from this film all over me, and I was like, Shirley is woke. Like the wokest mind of the generation.
She's
Ivy
extremely
woke.
awake,
Yeah.
as they say. There's a difference between wokeness and being awake.
Yeah.
And she's both. and I love her profile, her Instagram handle, Woke Mind Virus, but it's
Yeah.
like her last name, WOLK. She's a genius. She's one of the great divas. I know you specialize in divas, and so do I, and I think that's part of our kinship. And she's one of our only links to people like Judy Garland or
Yeah.
all the great kind of burning bright
They
and
did-
burning.
Yeah, they did barbiturates and we do oxygen.
yeah, or whatever people do.
My final question.
Sure.
Is there more questions from the audience? Oh, Avalon has a question.
Hello, I love the film.
Hey, thanks.
I was wondering if Celine is supposed to be like a novice filmmaker, and also if the font that you used for the code was supposed to be like ironic.
Well, the final font or the one that's throughout the movie,
Like
the kind of
Orson Welles one, and then like
yeah. The papyrus
Yeah,
font. You mean?
papyrus.
Okay, so those two questions are related because like the part of the fun of it, and I didn't color correct this movie also very intentionally. It's a diegetic film. That's what I call it, diegetic cinema. It's like the characters are making the movie you're watching, and so you have to incorporate their aesthetic and their style and their lack of experience into making it. Like on my last film, and this one too, like my work with composers like James Ferraro or Dylan Brady. These are great musicians. I'm like, make terrible music. Like make me the shittiest stock music. Make me, in Spree, it's like Kurt's music. It's like, sorry James, you have to make like the worst tracks you can imagine now. And that's fun for them because they're like characters. So I have to think about the filmmaking in character. And so Dasha and I talked about Celine and the font, and then we decided if it's good enough for James Cameron and Avatar, it's good enough for Celine's untitled COVID project.
so her cousin was basically like gagged by her, even though she's not like that big of a deal. Like she just like wanted to like cue it, like she just wanted to like talk to her cousin about like film and show her the film.
Yeah, well, the cousin is in school and making movies, you know, and so the dementia sequence, and then also, I don't know if anybody picked up on this because we maybe didn't do a perfect job, but like the wedding party sequence, that's also theoretically edited by Colette. And the dream, Celine's dream sequence, also is edited by Colette, and that's supposed to be a different editing style than other parts of the movie, and that's something I want to explore in other films, like really foregrounding in edit, because everybody here knows what CapCut is. Everyone makes fucking videos now. Everyone understands editing in a way that it's never really been foregrounded in cinema history. So now you can make metatextual work that foregrounds it and no one's confused.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, you want to do the last one? Oh,
Yeah, I
sorry.
have one question. But when she was doing like the like the perfume ad style, like looking in the like mirror, was that like Colette's edit?
No, I think that's Celine's edit.
Okay.
Yeah. When she's like, I don't even like documentaries.
Yeah.
Okay, you can only ask a question if you don't know me. I know you, so you can just ask me a question later. Do you think it's going to be edifying for everyone here if you ask this? Think closely.
Really put me on the spot now.
Yeah, well, you have to answer my question. Like, is it worth everyone's time?
Yes, I believe so. Because I've been listening to a lot of your Q&A.
Okay.
And something that you're talking about is find like really interesting. Even other people I've been talking to find it interesting. Is like the difference between ephemeral words and words now in this new social media landscape where they hold like a legality weight.
That was a good question.
About the words?
Yeah, words being ephemeral. Like you've been talking about.
Yeah, I said that the other day. I'll say it again.
Well, here's the
Okay, go with your question. Yeah.
And you always take this point and tie it into the panopticon surveillance society we're living in now. You've joined these two things a lot in a lot of the Q&A questions. It's great information, and it makes me wonder if you were thinking about this before the movie, or did you discover this and learn about this as you made the movie?
Yeah, I don't, I definitely was, like, that question of, like, let me just outline really quickly this idea that we now live in a culture that because everything that we think, we then post, and then that post becomes documented. Even our most banal and ephemerally intended thoughts are now documented. So things like gossip or like shit talking, which we used to do just through verbal expression without writing it down or in a diary or whatever, is now permanent. And so it takes on the like almost the contours of legal text, even though it's meant in an ephemeral fashion. And so people get in trouble for things that should disappear in the ether.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great kind of tensions and conflicts in the culture that we all live in, that people's, you know, shit talking and mindless gossip gets treated like the Bible or something. And that's definitely a thought I've been thinking about for many years as I've seen that happen, the repercussions of that take place. And I don't really think that the film actually explores it too deeply. If I wanted to really make that point in the film, I think I would have created some set pieces where people's words and posts are explicitly used against them. And I think, you know, there's a vagueness to why the Jay Richard character was canceled. Obviously, it had something to do with like sexual impropriety and stuff, but it's not like pointing at like, you said this, here's like a tweet where we searched like the F slur and you keep saying it or something, you know? So obviously there's that scene where they try to entrap each other, and they're both highly aware of like the dangers of, you know, doing something that will be documented forever. So yeah, it's in there, but I've been thinking about this stuff for a long time, you know, if that answers your question, and hopefully that made sense what I said to you guys.
Makes perfect sense. I have one question.
Go ahead, please. And sorry to put you on the spot, Drew. I appreciate your question.
She was like, all their words are being bastardized now though, like clout, you know, clout used to be like an SAT word.
Yeah.
Okay, but my last
Okay, got it. Yeah.
My last question is like, do you believe in true love? That was my last question.
Do I really what?
Believe in true love.
Yeah. I went through, you know, all cinephiles, all film lovers start off as crazy romantics. But I think I went through like 5 or 6 years where I was like, no, like there's no such thing as a soulmate. It's just a fucking numbers game. People who invented soulmates only met like 400 people their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
So if one person laughed at their jokes and, you know, everyone got wet and hard, and those two people could get wet and hard, that's a soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
But now you meet like thousands of people every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's fake. But now actually I'm back and
Okay.
thinking that there's a soulmate. I'm desperate to meet mine.
She's here right now.
Yeah, they're here right now, somewhere in this crowd.
They're at the afters.
It's Drew.
Somebody's at the afters.
Yeah, I don't think there's an afters tonight. Afters is me going to Wii Spa and working all night.
No.
Public computers.
I feel like maybe we'll find afters. It's my last thought.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, and thanks for doing this with me.
Thank
Jasmine.
you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming out at 6
Give it up for
p.m.
Eugene, the
Thanks,
coach.
guys. Yeah, and also tell all your friends, playing it again tomorrow, the next day. And actually, they told me that it's going to run for another week.
I thought
So
this was the last night.
this is the last Q&A I'm doing.
Okay.
But there's more screenings, so tell your friends and
Pull up.
on Letterboxd. If you have a question, you can ask me in the lobby. Okay. Thanks.
Woo!
Yeah, give me a hug. Into that.
Anya, you've lost all this. Whose phone is this?
Yeah, that's my age.
No, you know what?
I think it's like some or no, someone else. Someone else.
I really quite unrealistic, unfortunately. I wanted to make space for children. I ran out there.
There's like a
Talk to me, I gotta do that, even if it's
That was my point.
sorry.
If they had been lesbians, I would have been like, sure about that. But that's fair.
No, Mr. Needs a Muppet. I have no stories. Wow.
I got my tongue out. Oh.